The shadows of storm and night, the mysteries of life and light, from unearthly peculiarities, celestial and divine, to apparitions and transcendental signs. You're listening to the Spirit Podcast.
Welcome, listeners, to the Spirit Podcast, where we explore the eerie, the unexplained, and the supernatural world around us. I'm your host, Beck, and tonight we're diving into one of the most iconic places on Earth. A city where dreams are made and sometimes nightmares linger in the shadows. We've all heard the stories, the legends that haunt the stars, the whispers in the dark corners of lavish estates, and the spirits who refuse to leave the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. But what's the truth behind these ghostly tales? In this episode of To the Spirit, I'm going to take you on a journey through the haunted hotspots of Hollywood. Places where the past and the present collide, where the lights may shine bright, but the darkness that follows is even more compelling. From haunted hotels and eerie theaters to the restless spirits of famous landmarks, Hollywood's history isn't just written in the stars. It's also written in the footsteps of those who never truly left. So grab your popcorn and dim the lights as we explore the places where the curtain never fully falls and spirits of Hollywood remain ever present. Are you ready to step behind the velvet ropes into the unknown? Because trust me, it's going to get chilling. Let's begin our journey through the haunted streets of Hollywood, at a place where the glamour of old Hollywood still lingers, but so does something a little darker. Picture this. It's 1927, and the city of Los Angeles is buzzing with excitement. The first Academy Awards ceremony is about to take place, and the stars are out, dazzling the world with their charm and beauty. But in the midst of all this glamour, one place is setting the stage for more than just red carpets. The Roosevelt Hotel. Located right on the corner of Hollywood and Vine, it's been an iconic landmark for nearly a century. This hotel has seen its fair share of glitz and glam of Hollywood's golden era. It's even where the first Academy Awards ceremony was held, and stars like Marilyn Monroe were said to have walked its halls. But it's also known for something far less glamorous: its ghostly inhabitants. Now, when you walk into the Roosevelt, you're greeted by all the elegance you'd expect. A beautiful lobby, chandeliers that sparkle like diamonds, and a sense of old-world charm. But if you listen closely, or maybe even feel the air shift, you may sense that there's something or someone watching you. And it's not just the history of the stars that makes this place so famous. It's the ghosts. Let me tell you about one of the most famous hauntings. The ghost of none other than Marilyn Monroe, but not in the way you might think. Sure, we all know her name and her iconic image, but did you know that her ghost is said to haunt room 1200, one of the hotel's most infamous rooms? Guests have reported strange occurrences, lights flickering on and off, eerie cold spots, and even the scent of her perfume lingering in the air. And get this, some say they've seen a reflection in mirrors, only to turn around and find the room is empty. It's almost like she's still living her golden years, immortalized in a space that she once frequented, even after death. But it's not just Marilyn who seems to haunt the halls. Another eerie encounter happens in the hotel's historic ballroom, where a mysterious man, sometimes described as a well-dressed figure, has been seen standing alone, watching over the scene of grand celebrations. He doesn't speak, he just stands there, as if observing Hollywood's changing landscape with a deep, knowing gaze. Some say he's the spirit of a guest who died suddenly during a party decades ago, and his soul has never quite left. And then there's the pool. Ah, yes, the pool at the Roosevelt, more than just a glamorous spot for socializing. It's the site of an infamous tragedy. In the 1920s, a young actress by the name of Virginia Rappe tragically passed away after an incident at a Hollywood party. Some believe her spirit haunts the pool area to this day. Guests have described hearing strange sounds, like splashing or footsteps near the water, yet when they investigate, no one is there. Some even claim to have felt the sensation of being watched, an unsettling presence that lingers at the edge of the pool, waiting, just waiting. The Roosevelt Hotel is more than just a hotspot for paranormal activity. It's a place where time seems to bend, where Hollywood's past and present blur together, and the spirits of stars long gone continue to haunt the rooms where they once made history. Whether it's Marilyn Monroe's perfume still wafting through the halls, or the echoes of forgotten parties that continue in the ballroom, this hotel holds its secrets tightly. But one thing's for sure, there's something in the air here, something beyond the glamour, the lights, and the laughter, and it's waiting to be noticed. So next time you're in Hollywood, if you find yourself standing outside the Roosevelt Hotel, just know that you're not just standing at the crossroads of history. You might be standing at the crossroads of the living and the dead. Let's move on from the glamour of the Roosevelt and head just a bit south to another piece of Hollywood history, Culver Studios. If you're familiar with the world of film, you've likely heard of it. It's a place where movies came to life and legends were made. But as with many of Hollywood's storied landmarks, it holds more than just the magic of cinema. It also holds a darker, more sinister kind of magic. Culver Studios sits quietly in Culver City, but don't let its unassuming exterior fool you. It's not just a place where movies are made. It's a place where history, and some would say ghosts, have left their mark. The studio has been around since the 1920s, and over the years it's been home to some of the most iconic films in Hollywood history. You know, those black and white classics? The ones that make you believe in the power of storytelling. Well, they were made here. Films like Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, and King Kong, you can practically feel the weight of the cinematic history pressing down on this lot. But along with the history come stories of things that aren't easily explained. One of the most chilling tales? It's said that the spirit of a woman haunts the grounds, a presence tied to the tragic past of the studio. Some believe she's the ghost of a young actress who was involved in a mysterious accident during the studio's early years. It's unclear exactly what happened, but the rumors persist. Some say she was part of a film set that went horribly wrong, while others believe her tragic end was caused by a jealous lover. What's clear, however, is that her spirit has never left. Imagine this. You're walking through the lot late at night. The only sound, the quiet rustle of leaves, and then, out of nowhere, you feel a sudden drop in temperature. An inexplicable chill. It's as if something is right behind you, watching you, and when you turn around, there's nothing there, but that feeling doesn't go away. Some who've worked late into the night at Culver Studios have reported exactly that. A sensation of being followed by an unseen presence, a feeling that someone or something is just over your shoulder. But this isn't the only ghostly encounter tied to the studio. There's also the tale of a shadowy figure that's often seen near the iconic sound stages. Workers have reported seeing a man dressed in period costume, looking as though he stepped straight out of an old black and white film. He walks through the sound stages, seemingly unaware of anyone else around him. When he's approached, he disappears, leaving behind nothing but the strange sense that he was never really there at all. Some say he's the ghost of an old-time director, lost to history, who passed away under mysterious circumstances. Others believe he's a ghost of a stagehand who worked at the studio in the 1920s, still performing his duties long after his death. The thing is, no one really knows for sure. All that's left is the shadow, a reminder that sometimes Hollywood's past is more alive than we think. And if you think that's all, there's one more spine-chilling piece of the Culver Studios puzzle, the old historic Stage 8. This stage, used for some of the most iconic films, has long been a place of eerie happenings. Crew members have reported strange noises, doors opening and closing on their own, flickering lights, and even whispers that seem to come from nowhere. And some have said, just before a film shoot begins, they hear a woman's voice softly singing a tune, a song that fades as quickly as it begins, leaving behind a sense of melancholy. And while it's impossible to confirm whether these ghostly legends are fact or fiction, one thing remains clear. There's something about Culver Studios that feels haunted. Maybe it's the weight of the history, or maybe, just maybe, it's the spirits of the past. Actors, directors, stagehands, still caught in a loop, never quite able to escape the magic of Hollywood's most famous studios. The next time you watch a classic film or step onto the lot of Culver Studios, think about the souls who might still be wandering the same streets, forever part of the Hollywood legacy. After all, in a place where dreams are made, it's easy to forget that some of them never truly fade away.
Hey, Spirit Seekers! Enjoying the show? Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Spirit. Leave us a review on Apple or Spotify and share the love. We drop a new video every week on our YouTube channel covering paranormal, conspiracy, high strangeness, and more. Have questions or want to share your own spooky story? Drop us a line at tothespiritpod@gmail.com. Stay spirited!
Now, let's take a step beyond the bright lights of Hollywood Boulevard, past the buzzing crowds and the glitzy premieres, to a place where the stars don't just shine, they rest. Welcome to Hollywood's Forever Cemetery, a place as famous for its inhabitants as the films that have immortalized them. Nestled against the backdrop of the Los Angeles skyline, Hollywood Forever is more than just a cemetery. It's a sanctuary for Hollywood's history, holding the remains of some of the most iconic figures in film and entertainment. But it's also a place where the past, both celebrated and tragic, still lingers in the air, where the boundary between the living and the dead isn't so easily defined. As you walk through the Hollywood Forever, the first thing you'll notice is how calm it is. The sprawling grounds with their beautiful old tombstones and majestic mausoleums might almost seem serene, especially when bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun. But there's more to this peaceful haven than meets the eye. For many who visit this cemetery, it's not just the famous graves that catch their attention. It's the feeling that something else is here, something beyond the peaceful resting of the stars. One of the most famous and most haunted stories tied to Hollywood Forever involves the legendary actress Tyrone Power, known for his roles in films like The Mark of Zorro and Blood and Sand. Power died unexpectedly at the age of 44 in 1958. But his death didn't mark his final scene. Visitors have reported strange occurrences around his final resting place, feeling inexplicably cold when standing near his grave, hearing footsteps behind them when no one's around, or even catching a glimpse of a shadowy figure out of the corner of their eye. Some believe these oddities are the restless energy of Power himself, still hanging around Hollywood, perhaps seeking the spotlight he loved so much in life. Then there's this story of Marilyn Monroe, whose legacy still resonates with fans around the world. But it's not just her Hollywood fame that keeps her spirit tethered to this place. Marilyn's final resting spot in Hollywood Forever Cemetery has become a place of pilgrimage for fans, and it seems for her spirit as well. Over the years, visitors have claimed to feel a sudden shift in the air near Marilyn's grave, something electric, like her presence is still lingering. Some have said that, at times, they've heard the faint sound of someone singing softly, as if she's still performing for the crowds. Others report seeing a figure standing near her grave at night, someone resembling her, before vanishing without a trace. Could it be Marilyn herself, still watching over the place she left behind? But perhaps the most eerie of tales comes from a different grave, one belonging to Vito Russo, a gay activist and film historian. It's said that Vito's spirit, not necessarily tied to fame, but rather to the cause he championed, has been seen around the cemetery, especially near the northern end. Witnesses have described an inexplicable chill in the air when passing his grave, and some have reported hearing whispers, faint but distinct, urging visitors to remember the fight for equality. It's not just Hollywood's brightest stars who haunt the cemetery, though. The cemetery itself is filled with untold stories of those who've passed too soon, whose spirits might still walk among the living. It's a final resting place for those who've made an impact on the world. But it's also a place where the energy of their legacies continue to live on, sometimes in ways we can't quite explain. And for those of you who are brave enough to visit at night, when the moonlight casts long shadows over the tombstones, the cemetery takes on a different air altogether. The quiet hum of the city fades away, leaving you with only the whispers of the past. Some have felt as though the spirits here are not just resting, they're observing, watching. So the next time you find yourself walking past the famed gates of the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, remember, this isn't just a final resting place for the stars. It's a place where the past isn't buried. It's alive, breathing, waiting. The next time you hear the rustling of leaves or feel a chill sweep through the air, ask yourself, could it be one of Hollywood's greatest icons, still here in spirit, to say one last goodbye? Let's step out of the cemetery for a moment and enter one of Hollywood's most glamorous yet haunting landmarks, the Pantages Theatre. This majestic theater, with its sweeping Art Deco design and glistening marquee, has been the site of countless star-studded premieres and Broadway performances over the years. But beyond its glittering exterior, there's a story to be told. A story of glitz, glamour, and ghosts. Built in 1930 by the visionary theater magnate Alexander Pantages, the Pantages Theatre was designed to be the crown jewel of Hollywood's theater district. Its soaring ceilings, ornate architecture, and legendary acoustics made it the place to be for Hollywood elite. But like many of the grand buildings in Hollywood, it also carries with it a darker side, a past that haunts the very halls where the stars once walked. It's said that the spirit of Alexander Pantages himself still lingers within the theater. Though he passed away in 1936, there have been numerous reports of strange occurrences tied directly to his legacy. Staff members, performers, and even visitors have reported seeing shadows and hearing footsteps, as though someone is walking just behind them. But when they turn around, there's no one there. Others have felt an unexplained chill in the air, particularly in the balcony sections where Pantages himself used to sit, watching over the performances. There's even a tale of a mysterious man in a top hat who's been spotted roaming the theater during late-night rehearsals. Some believe it's Pantages himself, still overseeing the theater he built, making sure his legacy is never forgotten. But it's not just the ghost of the founder that haunts these walls. In fact, the Pantages is said to house multiple spirits, some more tragic than others. One of the most well-known ghost stories involves a young actress who worked at the theater in the 1940s. She was part of a traveling show that was scheduled to perform at the Pantages, but before she could make her big debut, she tragically died under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was an accident, while others claim it was a suicide. Either way, her presence has never left the theater. Staff and audience members have reported seeing her apparitions in the shadows of the theater, usually near the stage or along the grand staircase. It's said that her spirit still longs for that performance she never got to give, forever bound to the stage that never saw her shine. But the most chilling tales of all come from the theater's infamous dressing rooms. Imagine this. You're backstage, surrounded by the silence of empty rooms, the faint echo of your own footsteps. And then, out of nowhere, you hear a soft whisper. It sounds like a voice, but there's no one there. Some say it's the voice of a performer who passed away before her time, still practicing her lines, still preparing for a show that will never happen. Others claim to have heard her humming, softly but persistently, as if trying to summon the life she left behind. And as you might imagine, the theater itself has a long history of tragic events. Fires, accidents, and even the untimely deaths of performers during live shows. With so much loss and drama tied to this space, it's no wonder the Pantages has earned its reputation as one of the most haunted spots in Hollywood. But if you're brave enough to attend a show there, to sit in the plush seats and watch a new generation of performers take the stage, just remember you're not alone. There's more than just the audience and the performers in the Pantages Theatre. There's the faint presence of those who came before, watching, waiting, forever part of the magic of Hollywood. Let's take a stroll down Melrose Avenue, past the crowds and the palm trees, and head towards one of the oldest and most iconic studios in Hollywood, Paramount Studios. While this legendary lot has seen some of the greatest cinematic creations of all time, there's also something else that lingers here. A presence of the past, both glamorous and ghostly. Founded in 1912, Paramount Studios is home to some of the most iconic films in Hollywood history. The Godfather, Titanic, Forrest Gump, and Mission Impossible were all made here. But beyond its fame and its decades of filmmaking history, Paramount is known for something far less glamorous: its ghosts. The lot itself, a sprawling maze of sound stages, office buildings, and backlot streets, is rich with history. But with history, especially the kind written in the blood, sweat, and tears of filmmaking, comes a heavy energy, a kind of weight that never truly leaves. One of the most famous and most eerie stories tied to Paramount involves a ghostly figure who's been seen wandering the lot late at night. Some believe it's the spirit of Thomas Ince, the early silent film producer who died under mysterious circumstances back in 1924. The story of Ince's death is still shrouded in secrecy. Some claim he was poisoned during a trip aboard a yacht owned by a media mogul, William Randolph Hearst. Others say it was an accidental gunshot. Whatever the truth, Ince's untimely and strange death left an indelible mark on Hollywood, and it seems his restless spirit is still haunting Paramount Studios. Staff members have reported seeing a figure, usually in a suit from the 1920s, wandering the lot. They say he doesn't speak or interact with anyone, he simply walks, his footsteps echoing in the night, disappearing into the shadows before anyone can get close. Could it be Ince, still walking the grounds where he once worked, forever bound to the place of his untimely death? But it's not just the figure of Ince that haunts Paramount. There are whispers of other spirits, some who are tied to the studios, others who seem to be connected to the darker side of the entertainment industry. One of the most chilling accounts comes from the famous Stage 18. This stage has seen its share of blockbusters. It's also seen its share of strange happenings. Employees have reported hearing footsteps in the empty stage, but when they investigate, no one's there. Others felt a cold presence, an unexplained drop in temperature that seems to follow them no matter where they go. Some claim to have seen a figure standing in the shadows near the stage's edge, watching, waiting, never stepping into the light. In fact, some believe this ghost is tied to a tragic event that took place on the very same stage. There's a story about a young actor in the 1940s, an up-and-comer who was filming a particularly intense scene. Tragically, the actor died on set in what was ruled an accident, but many who worked on the film believe there was more to it. A curse, perhaps, or an unexplained tragedy that left the spirit of the young actor behind, forever bound to stage 18. Visitors to the stage have reported hearing faint murmurs, like someone practicing lines, and the unmistakable sound of someone pacing, waiting for their cue to perform, only to vanish when they look around. And then, of course, there's the strange energy that seems to radiate from the Paramount gates. The gates which welcome you into the studio lot have long been associated with strange, almost magnetic energy. People have reported feeling lightheaded or uneasy as they pass through them, as if the threshold between the real world and Hollywood's enchanted domain is more than just symbolic. Some say it's because the gates are older than the studio itself, dating back to the early 1920s when Paramount first began making its mark. Others believe that the gates mark the boundary between the living and the dead, and that the spirits of Hollywood's past still walk these grounds. Whether it's the ghost of Thomas Ince, the shadowy figure on stage 18, or the restless spirits who were part of Paramount's storied past, there's no denying that the studio is a place where history and the supernatural collide, and a place where dreams are made and stars are born. It's easy to forget that some stars never fade. So if you ever find yourself walking the streets of the Paramount Studios, whether on a tour or perhaps a late-night shoot, take a moment, listen closely, because you might just hear a whisper from the past or feel a cold breath on the back of your neck. After all, in Hollywood, the ghosts of yesterday might just be waiting to make their next big appearance. Hollywood is a place where stories are spun out of dreams, but sometimes those stories turn into nightmares. Among the many legends of Hollywood's haunted history, one tale stands out. A tale of a cursed film set that is said to have left a trail of tragedy in its wake. And the location of this dark chapter? Paramount Studios. It all began in the 1920s, a time when the studio was amidst its golden era. Paramount was at the height of its success, creating lavish films that dazzled audiences and turned unknown actors into stars. But one film, a lavish historical epic, was different. Not because of its stunning visuals or intricate set designs, but because of the tragedy that seemed to follow its every step of the way. The movie was called The Midnight Curse. It was an ambitious production with intricate sets, dangerous stunts, and an enormous cast and crew. And from the very beginning, something felt off. Accidents began to happen almost immediately. The lead actor, a young and promising star, suffered a mysterious injury during one of the film's most dangerous stunts. No one could quite explain how it happened. He had been rehearsing the scene for hours, but when the cameras rolled, he suddenly fell, breaking his leg in a way that seemed almost impossible. Some say it was bad luck. Others whispered that it was the curse of the set. The injuries didn't just stop there. Crew members and extras began to report strange occurrences, equipment malfunctioning in ways that shouldn't have been possible, lights flickering for no reason, and strange noises emanating from the set late at night when no one was around. On several occasions, cast members swore they saw strange shadows flitting across the stage, figures that seemed to move in and out of view, only to vanish when someone tried to get a closer look. Then, as the production continued, things took an even darker turn. The film's director, an acclaimed and ambitious filmmaker, was found dead under mysterious circumstances. Some say he had taken his own life. Others claim he was murdered by a jealous colleague. But what was certain was that his death cast a heavy shadow over the entire production, and the rest of the cast and crew began to fear that something malevolent was at work on the set. It wasn't long before whispers spread across the lot. The Midnight Curse was no ordinary film. The set was said to be cursed, and all those that worked on it were doomed. The final straw came when the lead actress, who had been a rising star at the time, suddenly vanished during the final week of the shooting. She was last seen walking onto the set late one night, only to disappear without a trace. Her disappearance remained unsolved, and it was as if she simply vanished into thin air. Some say she was taken by the spirit of the set itself. Others believe she was the victim of foul play, but no one could ever explain what happened to her. With so much tragedy surrounding the production, the film was never completed. The set, once a grand and meticulously crafted piece of Hollywood art, was abandoned. It was left untouched for years, sitting quietly in the shadows of the studio lot. But some say the set didn't stay empty for long. There have been reports from the studio staff and security guards who claim to have seen strange things in the area where the set once stood. Footsteps echoing when no one is there, flickers of movement in the corner of their eyes, and the sound of eerie whispers on the wind. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures walking through the abandoned set, acting out scenes as if the cameras were still rolling. And on the rare occasions when the set was used again, cast and crew members spoke of strange heaviness in the air, an overwhelming sense of dread that seemed to settle over the location, especially after dark. In fact, it's said that the cursed set was so terrifying that it was eventually walled off, hidden from public view. The set itself, along with the film's remnants, was destroyed in a mysterious fire many years later. But rumors persist that the flames were no accident, that they were the final act of a set that had been cursed from the very beginning. So what's the truth behind the Midnight Curse? Was it a series of unfortunate accidents? Or is there something more sinister at play here? No one can say for certain, but one thing is clear. The Paramount lot is no stranger to dark forces, and even after the set was long gone, it's said that some of the curse still lingers in the shadows. Some believe that the spirit of the young actress who vanished is still walking the lot, searching for answers or revenge. Others claim the director's restless ghost can still be seen pacing the old back lot, muttering to himself, as if trapped in the limbo between life and death. But regardless of who or what remains on the Paramount lot, one thing is for sure: the story of the Midnight Curse and the cursed film set is a reminder that in Hollywood, the line between fame, fortune, and tragedy is often thinner than we'd like to admit. And sometimes the ghosts of the past refuse to stay hidden. And so, we've walked the shadowed streets of Hollywood, through the hallowed halls of the Roosevelt Hotel, past the haunting presence of Culver Studios, and deep into the eerie corners of Paramount Studios. From the restless spirits of silent film legends to the tragic, mysterious figures who still roam the lots, one thing is clear: Hollywood's golden age is not confined to the glitz and glamour of its past. The spirits of those who shaped this town, both the famous and the forgotten, they still linger, reminding us that even in the city of dreams, there is darkness just beneath the surface. Hollywood is a place where stories come to life, where illusions are born and then shattered, and where the past and the present are forever intertwined. But as we've discovered tonight, there are some stories that never truly fade, some spirits that never leave. The ghosts of Hollywood history continues to haunt the streets, the studios, and the theaters, leaving us to wonder how much of the magic is real and how much is the work of something far more mysterious. So the next time you find yourself in Hollywood, whether under the spotlight or in the shadow of a palm tree, remember, you may be walking in the footsteps of those who came before, some of whom still haven't found their way to the other side. Thank you for joining me on this haunted journey through Hollywood. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your senses sharp, and your mind ready to embrace the unseen. After all, in a town built on dreams, the line between the living and the dead is often thinner than we realize.
To the Spirit
Podcast.
Supernatural Science
Aliens. I'm ghost.
Psychic Mystic
Spirits.
Divine Source
Heaven.
The Dead. It's magic.